الحسنات والسيئات لعلهم يرجعون فخلف من بعدهم خلف ورثوا الكتاب يأخذون عرض هذا الأدنى ويقولون سيغفر لنا وإن يأتهم عرض مثله يأخذوه ألم يؤخذ عليهم ميثاق الكتاب ألا يقولوا على الله إلا الحق ودرسوا ما فيه والدار الآخرة خير للذين يتقون أفلا تعقلون صدق الله العظيم. Another incident of the Banu Israel, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam to remind the Yahud of Medina of, is that when after Dawood alayhi salatu wasalam, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this proclamation that surely the adhab now that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will place upon these Yahud would be لَيَبْعَثَنَّ عَلَيْهِمْ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ, that until Yawm al-Qiyamah this situation will perpetually this situation will perpetually be there until the Day of Judgment, that at some point they will be tormented, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will place upon them someone who will torment them, يَسُومُهُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ, the worst of afflictions. From after Dawood alayhi salam, Bukht Nasr was placed upon them, and then this continued and continued. Today someone may ask, well, how do you make sense of what is happening today? Where there is a state of Israel that's over there today. How does this ayah play in with that? So elsewhere in the Quran al-Kareem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that وَضُرِبَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الذِّلَّةِ أَيْنَمَا ثُقِفُوا إِلَّا بِحَبْلٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَحَبْلٍ مِّنَ النَّاسِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will place or has placed dhillah meaning being base and being lowly. Allah has prescribed that upon them wherever they may be, إِلَّا بِحَبْلٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَحَبْلٍ مِّنَ النَّاسِ, with two exceptions. One is that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where He gives respite, and what is that? How does that respite materialize? By hablim min al-nas, that by assistance of others. By assistance of others, other nations, other groups, other ideologies, for their own benefit. For their own benefit, for their own aims and objectives, wherein they will help them, then they may have some form of, some level of protection. Otherwise, their own authority, their own state, their own power, that will never be there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran al-Kareem makes it very clear. And anyone who reads world and global, what's happening throughout the world and global reports, and follows this closely, can very clearly see how this has been materializing and continues to be materialized. That it's only by respite and help and assistance of other powers and other lobbies that allow for this to continue. So مَنْ يَسُومُهُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ, this is upon it. Then there's also the aspect where the hadith of Rasulullah make it clear that qurb al-qiyamah, coming towards closer to the Day of Judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will create the situation that this will connect with the coming ayah as well. In the coming ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that another adhab which was placed upon the Banu Israel is that they were separated into various groups throughout the world. They weren't allowed to materialize in one place. One was sent in one place, another one somewhere else. The various tribes of Banu Israel, they were sent all over. Only qurb al-qiyamah, towards qiyamah, then they will all once again be brought back. Now, how will they be brought back? Allah Ta'ala doesn't send angels and say bring all of them back. These are natural occurrences, taqween of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through which a situation is created that they are brought back into one place. This is in preparation for the time of Nabi Isa alayhi salatu wasalam and the Mahdi. This isn't anything which is against what the hadith and the ayat of the Quran al-Kareem, what has been prophesied. إِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَسَرِيعُ الْعِقَابِ وَإِنَّهُ لَغَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Both qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are mentioned here. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is quick in taking recompense or giving, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also most forgiving and most merciful. As we said, وَقَطَّعْنَاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أُمَمًا. Another adab which was placed upon them is that they were separated into different communities and scattered them. This only occurred in the 1900s when they started after the fall of the Khilafah. Then when portions of Palestine were given at the time by England, France, and other superpowers of the world, when a place was made for them in Palestine, a small place, only at that time they were brought back. Otherwise, Yahud were staying all over, various parts of the world, they were there, and they never had any power. وَقَطَّعْنَاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أُمَمًا مِنْهُمُ الصَّالِحُونَ وَمِنْهُمْ دُونَ ذَلِكَ. Some of them were righteous, meaning they were sticking to the commands which were given to them. وَمِنْهُمْ دُونَ ذَلِكَ. Now this is general, it's not only speaking post-1900. وَبَلَوْنَاهُمْ بِالْحَسَنَاتِ وَالسَّيِّئَاتِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran al-Kareem mentions one sunnatullah in this world, which is what? That various conditions come. That sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests people through hasanat in good times. The idea of good times is that a person is reminded that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these are ni'am, blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a person should take this as we call targheeb, as an encouragement. That these are good times, we should show shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah ta'ala has given us, we should spend from that, etc. etc. Sayyat, difficult times come, this also serves as a form of reminder to a person. That difficulty also comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe we're doing something wrong, we should turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should find sabr and patience in these times and still be steadfast upon this. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. All of this is so that people turn back to their objective and they are reminded. فَخَلَفَ مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ. That after them, one is the aslaf, those that are the first generations, then there are those who come thereafter. So the succeeding generations that came after that, they warithul kitab. The verb of warith coming from mirath, inheritance. They also took the teachings of the Torah. They took the teachings of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. They knew of it. It's not that they were oblivious of what they are supposed to do, what they ought to do. It's not that they didn't know the commands which were given to them. However, يَأْخُذُونَ عَرَضَ هَذَا الْأَدْنَى. That in lieu of the commands which were given to them, if there was something dunyawi, some worldly benefit which was at the expense of the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in their claim, obviously once the Prophet of Rasulullah comes, they were supposed to accept that anyways. But even based on their own standard, that they were claiming that no, that we are still upon the Torah, we're still upon the Sharia of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, even based on that standard, they would readily give up the commands which were given to them, the teachings of the Torah, the teachings of the Old Testament, for material benefit. يَأْخُذُونَ عَرَضَ هَذَا الْأَدْنَى. And on top of that, they understood what they were doing is wrong by them saying, يَقُولُونَ سَيُغْفَرُ لَنَا. They would say that we'll be forgiven. As it comes in other places in the Quran, they say that نَحْنُ أَحِبُّ اللَّهِ وَأَحِبَّاهُ. That we are ahibba'u, that we are the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are the most special, we're the chosen. We're the chosen people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That we will never be, and no adab will come to us. Allah ta'ala will always forgive us. يَقُولُونَ سَيُغْفَرُ لَنَا. And this didn't occur once, twice, but it continuously occurred. وَإِنْ يَأْتِهِمْ عَرَضٌ مِثْلُهُ يَأْخُذُوا. Anytime they see a worldly, a materialistic benefit, they'll go for that. They'll throw away the commands of Musa. They'll throw away the commands of the Torah. They have no sanctity for these commands. أَلَمْ يُؤْخَذْ عَلَيْهِمْ مِيثَاقُ الْكِتَابِ. Then Allah Ta'ala reminds through the Quran al-Kareem, that was this covenant not taken from you. أَلَّا يَقُولُ عَلَى اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْحَقِّ. that you should only speak the truth regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where are you claiming all of these things from? وَدَرَسُوا مَا فِيهِ. And it's not that they are ignorant of what's in the Torah. It's not that they are ignorant of what they were told. وَدَرَسُوا مَا فِيهِ. They know of that. وَالدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لِلَّذِينَ يَتَّقُونَ. The final abode, the abode of Jannah, that is best for those who have taqwa. Those that have taqwa, those that have adopted Allah consciousness, for them, Dar al-Akhirah will be the best. The Akhirah is good for the one who prepares for the Akhirah. The Akhirah is not good for the one who does not prepare for the Akhirah. Just as water is good for the one who uses the water correctly. As long as your ship is on top of the water, it's very good. As long as you're drinking in the correct amount, the water is very good for a person. But the moment the water comes inside the ship, then that is no longer good for the ship. As long as a person is living in this dunya and does not have the dunya in his heart, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You use it. But the moment dunya comes into a person's heart, and that becomes, as we did this morning, the meaning of al-malik for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how does that translate to human beings? That once dunya starts controlling a person, now those things become a king over yourself. Now you don't own the phone anymore. You don't own your money anymore. That thing owns you. It's controlling you now. Property is controlling this person now. Wealth is controlling this person now. All of these positions and things that he sees of the world, that becomes his malik. That has kingdom and dominion over him. He no longer has kingdom over the materials that he believes that he owns. So الدار الآخرة خير للذين يتقون. The one that has taqwa, for that person is great. The one who did not live a life of taqwa, then there is much awaiting for him. أفلا تعقلون. This is something which is rational. You're people of rationale, of intelligence. Can you not understand this simple thing? That Allah Ta'ala has given you certain commands, then out of your own will and whims, that you claim that Allah Ta'ala will just forgive us and we are special and He will never take us to task for anything that we do. This is wishful thinking. This is wishful thinking which is coming from nothing but the nafs. There's no basis to this. We make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us understanding of the Quran.